Social media can be hard because there are so many trends that come and go very fast. And opinions on what constitutes the perfect social media representation and perfect Instagram feed are so diverse, as much diverse as users themselves. I have been running Instagram for a long time, both for myself and for other brands, since I work as a visual designer. I specialize in Instagram feeds and social media and web design and visual design representation for different brands, and I usually try to create branded aesthetic Instagram feed that represents the brand values and the brand itself. But recently I began to hear that the curated, branded, aesthetic Instagram feed with prepared style and grid is dying. And it's not trendy anymore, and already doesn't make any sense. So I decided to share with you my opinion on this and explore this topic in this video. I think that there can be point of saying that if the Instagram feed that was planned looks lifeless, but that's a completely different story. Instagram feed can look lifeless, not because it was planned, but because of other reasons. Maybe the content itself is not engaging, it's not high quality, it's not interesting, or not relevant. But do you agree that there are still Instagram accounts that look aesthetic, planned, curated, branded, and also don't look flat or lifeless? They still are vibrant, engaging, and have something to catch the eye on. If we would compare two Instagrams with the exact same content, but in the first one the content was posted randomly, and in the second one the content was thoughtfully curated, I am sure that almost in the 95% of the time the second option will always win. But why I think that curated Instagram feed will always look better for your eyes than the random one? This comes from the fact that the Instagram feed is built in such a way that it can be perceived as a layout with the grid. The same layout that graphic or web designers use in their works, or even artists use in their paintings. It's just an artistic, creative rule. The more harmonious the layout and the arrangement of the things in the composition, the more pleasing it is to the eye. So when we consider the layout and composition in advance and plan it, the better result we get. Let's explore the benefits of aesthetic, curated and planned Instagram feed design. The first one, it simplifies information and navigation. This one is especially beneficial for brands and businesses accounts that sell products or provide services. By using composition methods, you can navigate people's gaze into different posts. By using the negative space, for example, around the feed, you can make accents where you want your followers to have an attention. You also can curate prepared highlights with the most important information. The second benefit is better branding. The aesthetic feed serves a powerful tool for your visual branding representation. Consistency in color schemes, in fonts and themes creates a cohesive visual identity, making it easier for followers later to recognize and remember your content, your identity, and brand in general. This in turn helps build a strong and loyal community and customers around your brand. Next benefit is professional impression. The aesthetic, curated and planned feed is always a valuable asset for businesses and brands looking to make an impression. A visually appealing feed can capture a better attention of potential customers, convey professionalism, and establish credibility and trust. In the era where first impressions and visual impressions are often formed within seconds, a well-curated feed can be a game changer for you. However, it is essential to acknowledge that this criticism that aesthetic feeds often receive for being too perfect or too curated to the point of inauthenticity or lifelessness. Some argue that these feeds create an unrealistic standard and contribute to the culture of comparison and perfectionism. As I said before, this can be avoided. So these are my tips how to avoid a feed being too perfect, too planned, too staged and too lifeless, but at the same time still be planned and still be aesthetic. First tip, you need to embrace imperfections. So you can plan your feed, but you can allow room for spontaneous and occasional content. Of course, life isn't always perfectly staged, and your feed shouldn't be either, even if you plan your content in your feed. You can allow yourself to capture unplanned, authentic moments in your life or on the shoots, for example, if you have a brand and you have product shoots. This kind of shoots can add breadth and life and authenticity into your feed and your content. But to do this, I, for example, use the checkerboard technique. I usually add content in different contrast of colors. This helps to create a cohesive look, but when I add spontaneous content, then I just look at the layout and make the first photo either a bit darker or a bit lighter, according to these schemes. It's really that simple, and it really helps me to keep the feed cohesive, but don't be afraid of adding random content. The next tip is to mix up your content types. You don't need to limit your feed to a single type of content. You need to add a blend of photos in different angles. It can be wide angles, close-ups, it can be different videos, carousel posts, graphics, templates. In that way, you will diversify your content, which will keep the feed dynamic and engaging. You can play with different filters, effects, and style. You can experiment with editing to add variety to the content as well. Try to avoid using the same preset and the same style for every single photo. In that way, your feed might look too boring and too flat. By using different effects, like, for example, grainish film effect, or in some shots it can be flash. All these effects will add a layer of authenticity while still will maintain a curated aesthetic. If you have an Instagram feed for a brand, you're, for example, social media manager or a brand owner, you can feature content created by your followers or customers. This not only diversifies your feed, but also builds a sense of community and inclusivity. This type of content is called user-generated content, and this is very trendy content right now. You can find a lot of user-generated creators online, which can build content that looks like it was generated by customers, or you can really use your customers' content, which really will add authenticity to your feed. The next tip to keep your feed planned but at the same time authentic is minimalism and negative space. Not every inch of your feed needs to be filled with different content and details. Leaving space can create a more relaxed and authentic vibe, and at the same time you will be free to post vibrant content. So for example, if you have a lot of photos with a lot of details, you can just post a couple of photos with negative space or a couple of templates, for example, and this will look more cohesive and more elegant and harmonious. In conclusion, I want to say that the aesthetic Instagram feed is not dead, but it has evolved. While some may prefer a more casual and unfiltered approach, others find value in the curation of their content, like me, for example. The key is to strike a balance that aligns with your own personal style or your brand style, as well as values and goals and the message that you want to convey. It's crucial to recognize that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to creating an Instagram feed. What works for one may not work for another. The essence of a good social media strategy lies in finding the balance between a curated, blended aesthetic and the raw, unfiltered moments that make your feed uniquely yours. As a social media designer, my advice is simple. Don't be afraid to try different approaches and find what suits you best, whether it's carefully crafted aesthetic or more spontaneous style. If you want to work with me on your visual branding, here are the services that I offer, and here is my email. Always stay inspired. See you in the next videos.